You all know that in the vertical space, the vertical apps and sometimes the production companies are afraid to taking the risk to try something new. But my guest today took the risk. Hello, my name is Bianca from the Ukrainian Actors and Actresses fandom, and today my guest is actually German as well. And he was so brave and took a risk because in Germany, verticals are not that common yet. But welcome, Kevin Silvergieter.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi.
Hi. To explain it to y'all, you all maybe in the English speaking area, you didn't seen him yet because Kevin is, like I said, German, half Canadian.
That's true.
But he maybe can introduce himself and explain what he did, where he took the risk, and actually, he's pretty successful with that.
I would say so too. Yes, thank you. My name is Kevin. I am a German Canadian actor based in Germany. And last year, I went to Cannes, the film festival, just for the fun of it. And I met a producer from America, and he was like, you know what? Vertical microdrama is the next big thing. As Bianca said, I'm from Germany, so I didn't know anything about verticals. And I was like, I had to Google vertical micro what? And then I was hooked because I love social media. I'm obsessed with it because I see all the good that you can do with social media. And I very few years back I was already I think social media could be such a nice bridge for fictional content, but nobody really used it. And now vertical was like the answer for myself. Then the idea was born in my head to do verticals, but just I didn't know how to do it because it's not common in Germany. then
Right.
I wrote an idea and I was like, I think that could work. And then I wrote to a few people and my team kept building. And then in September 25, the team was complete and we finished the scripts. And then we shot our first vertical series in March, no, in January this year. We shot 3 days. It was very slow compared to international standards. I know we only shot 2.5 episodes per day, which is very luxurious. I know, but it was my own money I spent. And I was like, I want to do it perfect. Let's take some more time because nobody did it in Germany before. And so we shot Germany's first vertical queer microdrama, which is now it's 8 episodes long and it's released on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts and Facebook, and you can watch it. And we're at the moment we're in preparing the second season. I'm talking to companies to get some product placement money. Hopefully we'll soon be able to continue shooting the second series. We'll see. We'll see about that. But that's me, and that is the risk I took.
And I think it's amazing. Until now, you can only see the story in German, but I guess you guys are already working on it somehow to put some subtitles underneath or to dub it in English so
Yeah.
the rest of the world could see what you guys are doing. And
Exactly. It's a lot at the same and it's like happening so much at the same time right now. Like we want and we have to finish writing the scripts and we want to do it internationally as well. I don't know, I cannot promise when that will happen, but we are definitely working on dubbing and synchro. So we are on that, but no date yet.
if you want to watch it on Instagram, there's actually an Instagram page. It's called Size Does Matters because that's the title of the show.
Exactly. Because the main character is an oversized guy. Because I was like, I don't only want to tell a queer story, but I also want to tell differently. I don't know if how it is internationally in all fictional areas like movies, series, I don't know, but I have never actually seen a queer oversized guy
No.
being the hero or usually it's the funny guy, it's the uncle, maybe it's the teacher, but it's always the sidekick, the funny sidekick, but never the guy that you could actually fall in love with. And that's
Yes.
what where the title is also about. I wanted the main character to be someone oversized sidekick, usually and someone that you really could fall in love with. And that's yeah, that was the idea, and that's why it's called Size Does Matter because size, in that case, the oversize does matter because sometimes more is more.
And I love it because in the vertical space, we seen a few verticals, XXL verticals, where the female is curvy. But unfortunately, the tropes are mostly the same. She is a curvy girl. Everyone is bullying her and harass her, and she start to losing weight. And this is so unnecessary. Even an oversized person can be successful, can fall in love. And that's what I loved about your show. And Marshall, I guess that's his name, your co-star. What is his full name?
His full name is Dennis Marshall Ölmes. He is, although the name sounds Turkish to me, he is half Italian, half German.
Because he looks
But
more German to me than
yeah,
Italian.
I know. But he's called he like his name is Marshall. Like it's
Yeah. And his role name was Sammy.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
No, but that's what I liked about your show. Yeah, sure, your ex-boyfriend in the show was mocking you. I didn't knew that you thicker guys, but because we have to explain, you are not just the producer of the show, you are the leading actor as well.
That's true. That's true. Because of course, if I spend my own money as an actor, I'm like, it would be stupid not to play in it myself, of course, because that was one of the other motivations because the entertainment industry is slow all over the world. There's hardly any traditional work in Germany. We have like it's called Tatort, which is the biggest crime show in Germany,
Yeah,
which airs every
since,
Sunday, and that's like
since
if
many,
you
many years. I don't know for how many, 40 years or something,
for sure. I
something
think
like that.
in the 70s the first aired, and that's like if you play in a Tatort, it's like you've made it. Well, I played in a Tatort 2 years ago. Now it's 3 years ago, and I was like, that will be my breakthrough for sure. Nothing happened because
Mm,
the industry is so slow. And
yeah.
that is also what I love so much about verticals because now we have all these opportunities to not only be in the business again, but also, like I did, tell the stories that we think are worth telling. Not some studio or not some broadcasting channel. No, we can be brave enough and tell the stories. And as you said, it's proven almost 800,000 people watch these 8 episodes. People want to see these stories, and that's amazing. So yes, I've not only produced it, but I also played it.
And I remember after you posted, I guess, the second episode, you guys said, including the trailer, you had already for these three shows, or the trailer and the two episodes, over 220,000 views
Yeah,
in German, where verticals are absolutely not common. If you Google here for what are verticals in Germany, you barely can find something. Slowly, they are getting more and more because the people are waking up. But we Germans are unfortunately very slow because we need to think about it. We overthink it. And the people here in Germany didn't realize yet that the vertical space have a very, very fast pace. Not just
yeah,
in shooting those shows, but to create a show. Even the team in the vertical space, I guess they get 4 weeks before they started the project, the director and the
mm,
producers and so on, to create everything. And the actors get hired maybe a week before, sometimes even the day before. And they're handing out the scripts a few days before. And it's very, very fast. And the Germans have to wake up in this case. And we have now a few production companies here in Germany who starting to shoot verticals, mostly, I guess, in German, which is okay to explain to the German audience what are verticals. But I must say, if you want to have really success in the vertical space, you need to do it in an international way to get more audience.
yeah.
And Germany, they even started the first casting call I ever saw was they didn't look for actors. They looked for influencers with a special amount of followers.
That's true.
That's crazy.
Well, but that's again, that's the German thing. We wanted to play it safe. We are very
Yeah.
conservative about new ideas. As I said, like the Tatort, which is a crime show. So there's always at least one dead person, and there's always two cops undercover or whatever solving the case. And that has been airing now since over 40 years. That's how cool and how hip we Germans are. No, we are not. We may adapt. There was this French show which was very successful called My Agent. The Germans adapted it, which was okay, but it's an adaptation. Or what else was there? Like Laughing Out Loud, which is like a comedy show where you put all these
Yeah.
comedians. That is not a German invention as well. So it's always Germans always copy something when it's successful. Although verticals are already successful, the Germans are still like, that's kind of like a social media experiment, and we're not like, I don't know if that will, how will we earn money, where's the money coming from, are people really going to do that? Germans are very conservative, and that's like, I would also say that's like one of our big good sides we have, that we want to play it safe, but in that case it hinders us from trying new things. Or not us, I'm not going to include myself because I was brave. I took the risk. But German television and movie space is very, very, yeah, very, very slow and looking for safeties. I think it will take another 3-4 months. And then I hope bigger players will jump into the game. But until then, every time I talk to someone, they're like, why? Why would you do that? I'm like, because people are already on their phone and they're watching it. Okay, so you would just do it vertically. Exactly. It's crazy,
But the crazy thing is, what I heard is that they were looking for the audience in the age of 14 to 28. That's crazy.
I
That's
know.
ridiculous.
I
Because
know.
teenagers can't afford all these subscription for these apps. They
Exactly.
can't.
Exactly.
And we have there, I don't know, something around 300 vertical apps. And
Mm,
just imagine you trying at least for 10 apps, you try to get a subscription. Sometimes you can't even afford one subscription. It's depending how much money you make. And parents are not that willing to give the children always each week 25 or 30 euros to get a subscription for 1 week. And
exactly.
some apps
Exactly.
you pay here in Germany around 25, 30
Mm,
euros for a weekly subscription. And it's impossible.
exactly. That was also one of the funniest things. I had a talk with one of the deciders of a very big German broadcasting channel. And she was like, well, we are aiming for TikTok because the audience we want to reach, they're like 14 to 19 years old. And that's the stories we want to tell. And I tried to convince her that internationally it's mostly females between 35 and 55. And she was like, no, no chance. No, no, no chance. And I'm like, oh, you, anyways, I don't want to, it was just interesting how far
Yeah.
behind the Germans that do decide what is going to be shot are in the vertical space. It's just crazy. But yes, I hope that will change soon.
I hope so too. And then finally, they had casting calls where they were looking for actors
That's
who
true.
are speaking English as well.
That's true
So
also.
they need to do that. And you can turn on the subtitles if most
That's true.
Germans learn English in school.
It's
The
true.
only
We do.
problem is they are not using it often, and that's why they're forgetting often something. And that's why they just have to get back into it. But anyway, for the beginning, it's maybe not bad to show the people what are verticals or microdramas and to get the people hooked. And I know I talked to a few German people out of the community from all over the world, from the verticals from all over the world, who said, we don't want to see German verticals. We want to stay in English. It's the same if they see some ads of us well-known verticals where the actors got dubbed in German. But mostly it's not even a person who's dubbing it, it's AI.
Yeah, I
And
know.
if
I
you
know.
hear an actor where you definitely know how the tone of the voice is sounds like in original. For example, there's a guy who have a deeper voice and the dubbing have
Mm,
a squeaky voice. It's don't fit. Or If the guy in this original vertical, for example, would call Matthew, and just because it sounds German, they name him in the dubbed version Hans.
I know. I saw it. I saw a Chinese one, and they were obviously Chinese people because it was shot in China. And then her name was something like Suzanne, which is okayish, but his name was
Susan, yeah.
Hans. So it was exactly the same name. I was so confused that I stopped watching it just because I couldn't bear seeing these Chinese people obviously living in China. It was so random. I was like, of course I could watch a Chinese vertical with Chinese names, just make it English so that I can understand because I don't speak Mandarin. But it's ridiculous.
Sorry, go on.
No, no. What I wanted to say was exactly what you say, like because also for the people now listening, we don't have one single German vertical app yet.
But
There's
they are in the
two.
making.
I know they are, but I'm just saying because compared to the international market, that's also how far behind we are. They are in the making, but they're not out yet, so there's nothing that you can see yet. And that's also, I think, one. They are doing them in English as well. That's at least what the casting call said, and that's also what you said. And what I also think is like we did like the pilot now in German to show and to prove verticals are
Yeah.
a thing, but the second season we would love to do in English as well, not only because of what you said, but also because with social media or with these apps, you can reach the whole world within seconds, but still it would be a German perspective and a German story. And I think that's
Yes.
also so fascinating that we can watch with Netflix originals. We can watch original stories from different countries on our phone, and that is so amazing to get to know different creative voices from all over the world. And I love that about verticals.
And I think even if your show would be in English, that would show to maybe some investors how many people would like to watch it. And if they see, oh, take a look in the German version, they for 8 episodes they had 800,000 views. And if you do it in English, maybe you have much more. This they would see, oh, see, it's working out. And if you just think about you can you don't post it on Instagram or the social medias, you are selling your story to an app where people have to buy subscription for it, they could make money. And sure, for us fans, it's another app where we have to buy a subscription. It's not always that easy, but in a business perspective, it's needed to show all these investors here in Germany what is possible.
That is
And
true. Even in Germany, we have this huge funding system, which is amazing for broadcasting. It's
by
like
the
a tax.
government is this
Exactly. It's
funding.
like we are paying a tax when once you have a registered, well, not registered, but once you own a TV or a radio, you have to pay the GEZ, which is
Yeah.
what we call, which is a tax basically, so that the national broadcasting channels can do the news, do talk shows, whatever. And I think that even that could work because people are not, they don't get money out of subscriptions, but they get money because of those taxes. And the idea behind it is that culture is accessible to everyone because
Yeah.
that is mandatory to pay those taxes, and then everyone can access culture. And I think that could also work for verticals if they would, just because verticals are cheaper to produce, they're faster produced, they're easier produced, they are much more on the things that are happening right now. Like a movie may take 10 to 20 years being produced, but a vertical you could write today with a team and maybe write it within 2 to 3 weeks if you're very quick, and really take topics that are right now, like that are people that really want to see right now. And I think that could work in Germany with that great funding system that we have, if the right people finally realize how much people are actually watching those verticals. That's also a thing that I think could work. Like that would be very specific
Yeah.
for Germany, but I think that could also work.
Do you know that the vertical app Candy Jar is based in
And
Berlin?
I know that's also something.
Unfortunately, they're not shooting here yet.
I know it's so crazy. I just found out 2 weeks ago, and I was like, how? How can they not have shot anything in Germany yet? I don't get it. But yeah,
We have great film studios.
we
We
do.
have same great landscapes.
Yeah, no,
Even those historical verticals would be great because just think about all these castles we have,
I know.
smaller and bigger ones. And I heard from another person out of the community that Candy Jar is inviting some fans to Berlin for a sit-in where they talk about verticals, etc., and so on. I would love to go to tell
We
something
do.
about my opinion, but unfortunately, I can't afford the trip. And unfortunately, too, they don't do it in via internet, via Zoom meeting or something, because the community in Germany is not that big. So I don't think that there will be so many people out of the audience at this meeting. They should
That's true.
invite some Germans maybe on an online basis, so we can talk about it and can help to build this vertical space in Germany. And I think
Mm.
since in Europe are more and more countries where they start to shoot verticals, Germany would be a great opportunity as well.
It would be. That's what that's what I'm saying. It's what you said. We have the infrastructure, we have the studios, we have the great landscapes, we have this what I said, those great funding systems, and that it could just work. Which that's again where we started at. We would just need brave people in the positions who decide what to do to say, you know what, let's just go for it.
Yeah,
Let's just make one and see how it goes.
right.
And we'll see. I am in conversation and I'm talking to some people who are in those positions, but again, it's very slow because I talked to someone. He was like, "Oh, that's interesting. I need more information." Then I gave those informations, and then he was like, "I have to talk to my team." And then he talked to the team, and then he came back to me 2 days or 3 days later, and he was like, "I need more information." I gave him the information, and then he was like, we have the meeting, and but the next meeting will be in a week. So now I'm waiting for that meeting to happen to
Yeah.
get feedback again. It's just so slow.
Typical Germans. If someone of the people here in Germany thinking about to get into this space, you should talk to Kevin, but you also can invite me so we can help you to explain what's a vertical space, etc. Because I'm in the space since March 2024.
That's true.
And
Or, or sorry for jumping in, our dear friend that we both know, Cordula, who just launched the Vertical Script Academy. So if you listen
yes,
and you're in Germany and you don't know anything about verticals, give us a call, give Cordula a call, and learn how to write them. Because I think there's also a thing like I think we have so many because of our history. Like I don't want to say let's make some Nazi verticals, but still I think we could expand the vertical space with so many good perspectives from Germany. Like we
yeah,
could do something about Bavarians, we could do something historical about whatever. There's so many great ideas that we could do.
definitely. And to explain, Cordula is from Vertidramas. And for now, I mean, to write a script for a vertical doesn't mean always a vertical drama. It
That's
means
true.
also commercial and some other content, but you need to know how to write it. And if you want to learn how to write it at the moment, she offered this academy only in German, but she told me today she is working on it to translate it in English. And if everything is working out fine, maybe on begin of June, her script academy is also in English available.
That's great. That is so great. Yeah. Perfect. I
To
love it.
explain it, also Cordula is executive editorial, no, hold on, an editorial producer and an executive producer. Now I mix it up, but she is a long time in the media business, so
Yeah,
she got a clue what she's talking about.
that is true.
And
Yeah.
maybe someone should do an informatic day where they have a panel and just don't invite all these people who never heard about verticals to talk about what verticals are. They should invite someone like me, like Kevin, like Cordula, maybe Michaela from Let's Talk About Verticals, because she's German as
Also,
well.
because that's what's happening again. Like we are here. We know the space. We know what people want to see. We've seen enough, or I've written some already. I'm writing a historical microdrama right now. But what's happening is what you said is they're picking now influencers who have the reach, or they're picking big studios because, of course, they've been so many years in the business, they know what they're doing, but they're not because they've never done verticals. So it happened before a few years back. There was it was not Quibi, but it was on Instagram. Some production company made like a daily on social media. And
Hmm.
once it got more popular, they sold it to a German studio. And what they did with it did not work because they did not hire someone who knew the social media world. It was not anything close to vertical microdrama yet, but it was still like there it's a different psychology, it's a different way of approaching that content, but they did not pick someone who knew that psychology. And then
Yeah.
after I think 2 weeks it flopped because the wrong people tried something they were not familiar with. And I fear, or I don't think that will happen, but I think a few people who do not know the vertical space will try, and that could very much backfire because
Yeah.
they're so stubborn to ask us, although we're not known, we're not famous, we didn't do anything yet, to ask us how to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I also can say, if you want to try it in an international way, I mean, Michaela, Cordula, myself, we are in contact with many, many people out of the industry
Mm,
from all over the world, actors, directors, producers, etc. Maybe we can connect you. Get
yeah,
these
that's true.
actors and directors to Germany for the begin to get into this business. Because if there's a well-known actor, for example, in it, or a well-known director shot this vertical,
Mm,
the people will watch it.
that's
And it
true.
could be a success. And then you will see if it's working and how it's working, because they can teach you how it's possible to shoot.
Yeah.
Then you can choose the German actors if you want to, but try it this way. But anyway, yes, we definitely need to get verticals here to Germany because I guess this would be a great opportunity. But sorry for my language. Wake the fuck up.
Well, and the thing is, or the big opportunity I see is, which is also happening in America, is what I said earlier, is the production, the entertainment system is so slow at the moment. There's not much money, and again, people are very playing safe and not trying new things. And
Yeah,
I think verticals could be like a huge opportunity not to only hear different and new voices, try different stories, try different storytelling, and also help an industry like not only actors, but the lighting people, the catering people, the costume people to actually get work again
yeah,
and be creative because that's what we want to do. And I think that's what's still missing in Germany is that piece that verticals are actually art. It's
definitely.
doing a creative piece of art.
Yes, and I always say while verticals got developed, many people said it like back then about soap operas. Oh, this is
Mm,
just a social media thing. It's just TikTok. In a few months, it's gone again. No, but I must say, it's the same like the actors who are acting in verticals. They get called sometimes. If you are working in a vertical, you are not a good actor. You never will make it. But I don't think so, because just imagine the pace in what time you're shooting one show. It's in a regular basis between maybe 6 to 10 days
exactly.
for a whole show, which have, let's say it's this way. There are episodes in the length of 60 to 90 seconds, but the whole show in altogether have the length of 1 to 1.5 hours. So a full movie. And they're
Exactly.
shooting it in 6 to 10 days. If an actor is able to shoot so fast, because they are not just shooting 2 pages of the script each day,
Yeah.
sometimes 10, 12, 14 pages. If later on you trying to shoot a feature film, hire a vertical actor. They can do the scenes much faster because in this vertical space, if you are shooting a vertical, you don't have the possibility to shoot one scene 5,000 times. Maybe you
Exactly.
do it once, twice, at least 3 times, but then you're going to the next scene. You don't
Yeah.
have the time for it. And if an actor is able to act that fast, if you
Exactly.
do in a feature film, just think about if you have actors who can do all the scenes much faster than you are usually doing, they can save you much money for the production.
That's I don't know if I already posted it or if I'm posting it the other day, but I just made a reel about exactly that. In Germany, we call it Königsklasse, which is like the king class. It's the highest. It's the highest. What how could you call it? Like it's the highest standard that there is because what you just said. Like I've experienced it. Like I knew we didn't have much time, but you have to know your character. You have to know the lines by heart, and you have to be able to just jump into that character without needing time to develop or needing time to try new things. Like if you could do that with verticals, great, sure, but that's not the aim, and that shouldn't be the aim because it's a little bit like commercials where like a few years back people like don't do commercials because commercials will ruin your career, but with commercials it's similar to verticals. You don't have much time either, so you have to be on time, on point, and definitely if you're a vertical actor, know it for yourself that you are a very, very good actor or actress, and not everyone can do that or will be willing
Right.
to go that far. So thumbs up if you're in the vertical business. Really,
Yeah.
as a colleague, I can just say that you have my biggest awe. Yeah.
And like I said, we will see where the journey is going here in Germany. But Kevin, we are not just here to talk about what's going on in Germany. And I mean, it's a very important subject.
It is.
I'm running the Ukrainian actors and actresses fandom. I want to know, first of all, you said you discovered verticals in Cannes, right?
Mhm.
So it's not the typical way like most people discovered verticals, because most of us, we discovered it by watching advertisements on Facebook, Instagram,
Mhm.
TikTok. But how did you discover Ukrainian verticals?
That was actually with an advertisement on Instagram because once, of course, the algorithm knew I was was not Googling, I was Instagramming and searching for verticals. Then, of course, things popped up. And the first one that popped up was, and now please apologize because I'm very terrible with the long titles of the show, but is it Yes, My Majesty, the queer one?
No, it's named No, Your Majesty.
That's what. Okay, oh, it's something with Your Majesty. It was No, Your Majesty, and I fell in love with it because I'm gay, and I love verticals, of course, in general, but there is something magical to see your very own perspective in a story. It's always something different when I have a queer character that I can fully identify with because it is something different because of suppression or having to go through a different path in your life because of having to come out, which you don't have when you're heterosexual, which is a different thing to talk about, that why we have to do that. But anyway, that popped up, and I was like, okay, that has to be American, not because of I don't think that heard anything yet, but I was like, the way it's done, the way it looks, I was like, that must be with. That was the typical German cliche in my head. It looks professional. It must be America. And then I realized that it was Ukrainian, and I was like, that is even more amazing because we know what's going on in Ukraine right now. Under all those circumstances, I could not imagine. And then it's just I can just, I'm drooling watching my colleagues playing these amazing characters. And that was basically how I got introduced to the Ukrainian vertical market.
And let me tell you, I recommended many more verticals from Ukraine
Oh,
to him.
I am on it. My list is getting longer and longer every day. And I am on to watching more for sure.
If you want to watch all of them, we have at the moment 200, no, 122 verticals, including 9 pilot projects.
Well, I already stopped watching Netflix and stuff because I am so in love with verticals right now. Not only because of course it's one part is because I wanna make it bigger in Germany. Of course I need to know more about it. And so it's part I think part is research, and that's kind of like how I started. I want to be a better writer and a vertical actor. So I have to watch it, but it's such a privilege to be, you know what, I have to watch verticals because it's for my career. But actually I'm sitting there, oh god, what's happening next? I just have to. It's like it's I love verticals so much. I just don't watch television anymore just because I think the acting is great. Of course there's some times where I'm like, I don't believe 100%, but then I know the circumstances, how they're shooting, not only in Ukraine, but all over the world. Like I know it's 6 days, I don't know, 100 pages, or let's even if it's just 60 pages, it's so much to, and then you only get 2 takes. Of course, not every time and not every take can be 100%, but even, and then if that happens, that the acting is so amazing, I'm just speechless. I think you can tell I'm in love with verticals. I'm in love with vertical acting. I really cannot stop watching. My list is getting longer and longer with all the verticals I want to see and write
Yeah.
myself and play in them myself. I really want to act more vertically because I just love it so much.
He got hooked like we all.
I think you can
They
tell
get us
just
all.
a little bit. Just a little bit.
But Kevin, since you created the queer vertical and you just what talked about this queer vertical as an actor, I assume you would act still all kind of diverse roles, right?
For sure. That is, I think, the most amazing thing about being an actor, to live lives of people, of characters that I would never live myself in. It's not only that I would love to play a villain or a hero or someone with superpowers, but yes, I would also love, and I also did. I already acted in theater or in other movies. Like I played heterosexual characters, and that's what I love. Like that transformation that I go through to get to know people and to understand why they are the way they are. Yes, heterosexual, bad guy, transgender, or non-binary, whatever. I would play, not play it all, but I don't I think it would be very arrogant and wrong to say I can play everything, but I would love to try everything. For example, like I just acted in a short movie, and the character I played, I think you can tell by now that I do talk a lot, and I can talk quite fast, and I can be very quirly. But that character was, I think, although he was the main character, he did not have more than 10 words in the whole movie. And so the director was
Wow.
like, the challenge will be for you to just play with your eyes and not try to do too much, and just trust that you are that character. And that was amazing. That was amazing because it was so not me. And I was like, the biggest struggle for me was like, am I going to be able to play a role without that energy? Because like my energy is up here, and I had to really take my energy down and more down. And the director was like, tone it down even more, Kevin. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm going to fall asleep. But like, no, you're not. You're not. You're a pout. And I'm like, but it was amazing. It was amazing
Yeah.
because it was just not me at all.
First of all, we Germans are always speaking a lot, very
Mm,
fast. And I always can repeat the words of my mom. She always said, Bianca, even if you pass away, we have to hit you with a shovel on your mouth to shut up. I love if an actor have amazing facial expressions because
mhm.
In Ukraine, there are a few actors and actresses who are able to do facial expressions. They entering a room, they don't say a word, but they telling you a whole story. And for example, if you want to laugh as well, just take a look at the vertical. Oh my God, my love is my husband is a call boy.
Yeah, I will.
The actress Tetiana Malkova, she is one of these queens who are able to tell you a whole story without saying a word, just by her facial expression. It's amazing.
I love that.
But also Sergei Strelnikov, for example, in The Woman Starts a War, he's acting in, or Pierre Loger from France. He's acting in Ukraine in a few projects. He have this kind of aura as well. He's entering a room and he's taking over. And I love something like that. But are you planning only to try to shoot here in Germany, or would you be interested to shoot somewhere else? For example, even in Ukraine or USA, UK, wherever?
I would love to work outside of Germany because I think that's also the the advantage of being an actor, or and of course because I am half Canadian, so I have a maybe I also have a different approach with English than some Germans do. I love working, talking in English. And so I would, yeah, yeah. Sorry. The simple answer to that question is not, Kevin, don't be so German, don't talk too much. Yes, I would love to work abroad. Yes, for sure.
Did you consider it, for example, to if you would have the possibility to get casted for a show in Ukraine, even if there's a war, would you go there, or what do you think about it? Maybe I can tell you something about what's going on.
I would personally, but I have two kids at home. And so I think with having kids, I don't know. I like maybe probably a lot of Ukrainian actors would be like, "Hey, what are you talking about? Of course that can happen." But no, I don't think that at the moment with having my kids, I don't think that I would feel very safe or good about myself to do that.
Mhm.
I would love to, looking at the vertical space and at the stories they tell and the great actors. I would love to work with those actors, but yeah, not in a war zone. No, I could not imagine that at the moment. No.
But you would, for example, Amo Pictures. Amo Picture is the biggest production company in Ukraine, and they are shooting not just in Ukraine, they're shooting in UK, USA, Canada, and in Australia.
I know.
Guys, I can say welcome back. I'm sorry. I always say I have very old devices here and my laptop don't like to work with me, and the internet connection is sometimes a mess as well. I had to switch my device. And I can, well, we've been on the end at this point that actors from different cultures, when they are working together, can learn from each other. And this is very interesting to see what the result on the end will show us.
Exactly. I think it's like that's one of the big also advantages and privileges of the modern globalization, that we can not only access content from different countries through our phone, but now we can just work together and not only like show and prove that humans are humans, but like we can also come together. And I think something new and even more extraordinary can happen because we can just learn from each other and from our different perspectives. And I think that's such a privilege about also again about the vertical space, because for a movie like the biography is so long and so many things have to happen. In vertical space, things just happen faster, and I love that. I love that we just come together, and it's amazing.
I only can agree to that. And what I think is not just in the storytelling, but also with the actors, we need more diversity in these verticals.
I think so.
Which is also important that we need to get a little bit away from these typical story tropes in these verticals. I'm not sure if you seen the differences between, for example, verticals from America or here from in this case Ukraine,
Ukraine.
that the storytelling is different. You can't
Yeah,
develop the wheel new. You always have a CEO, billionaire, werewolf, vampire, whatever, but the story itself, they telling it in a different way.
absolutely. And I think we also do it different in Germany. That's also what I tried with my show is the structure of vertical microdrama is always the same. The more speeds, being right into the conflict. But what we did not do was, I'm going to be very, very clear with the wording. Like we're not using the toxic tropes. I think what we have is we have the unlikely couple because we have the trained guy and we have the oversized guy. But what we're not working with is that one is above the other or that one has to rescue the other. But we're playing with typical rom-com style. There's two people, they're connecting. Then we use soap opera because, of course, things have to happen so that it stays interesting. But we're not using those those violent tropes that can work and that are fine in some ways, but I think, and that's already what's happening. Verticals are expanding and evolving to more quality scripts. That's already happening, but I think we can even even get more quality in the scripts.
Definitely, definitely. And I always say, in 2023, 2024, all these verticals didn't mean that violence and this
Mm.
toxic how it is at the moment, and they still been amazing hits. And
Yeah, I think I don't know, but I think maybe one part is again when there's AI involved or like not in producing but in the background, like collecting data and seeing what works. Once you take away the creative part, but you take like you put on the goggles of economy, then the money goes bling bling bling, and then you start to prove that that's working, and then you want more money, and then the companies become bigger and then they want more money. And so what they do, they take what's proven, what works, and they reproduce it and reproduces. And somehow one of those tropey violent verticals worked apparently very well. They reproduce it again and again, but as you say and as I proved, we don't need that. We don't only need it. We can use it, but we don't only need it, I think.
I can tell you why we have so many knockoffs. And I'm not a fan of knockoffs, but I hear it now from a few people out of the industry. They doing it because they want to reach new audience. Because if
Mhm.
they had a show which went really well, but it's maybe it's got released in half a year ago, they can make the advertisement for this old show over a few months. So the newer audience didn't see the story. That's why they recreating the story so the new audience can see the story.
Wow.
And
I
that's
see.
and like I always repeat myself, you can't develop the wheel new. But if you do a knockoff, don't release it. For example, you release a show today, and in 3 days or in 2 weeks later, you release exact the same story, just a different
Mm.
cast. You don't even switch the script. And
Mhm.
sometimes even on the exact same app, you release a new show.
Crazy.
This is crazy. At least wait a few
Mhm.
months. Don't always
Yeah,
think about only about new audience. You have to treat
yeah,
your old audience well because they are on
of
your
course.
app for a while. They paying you for a
Yeah,
while the money for the subscriptions. And if you don't want to lose
exactly.
the older viewers, you have to treat them well. Feed them with some new storyline
Absolutely.
and try to risk
Yeah, yeah.
something. I always can say, take it as an example, my drama. My drama released more than 9 pilot projects, but for the Ukrainian part, they released 9 pilot projects, which have the length of 7 to 12 episodes. And they try new stuff. And if there are enough people out
Yeah.
of the audience who are sending a DM to my drama and saying, hey, this story is interesting. I want to know how the story is going on. If there are enough people, they consider to shoot the full vertical, like they did with the Wicked game.
Of course.
Wicked Game
Yeah.
was a pilot project,
Yeah.
and then they released, and there are a few other shows as
Yeah.
well where they did it as well, but that's how it's work. And I
Yeah.
always say also, why always the lead actors have to be the young ones. You can take the old ones as well,
Mm.
older actors. But if you take the
Yeah.
story and I had this conversation in my last conversations that the story which been or where older actors had the leading role didn't work out well because they took the story, which they are usually taking
For the young ones.
for the older ones, and just adapt a few small things. You have to
Okay.
create something totally new.
Of course.
You
Yeah.
can't take a story which worked well and a
Yeah.
totally different way. You can. And that's where all the apps and production companies need to be more risky.
And also the other thing is it's such a billion-dollar market worldwide. So I I think I'm not an expert, but it feels like the money is not spent equally. Like some big bosses, I guess, get a lot of money, but the creative parts are not being paid as much as they could, or they're not investing as much as they could. Like they could just hire a part like a team and say, make us new storylines, write creative new ideas that work vertically, which is basically everything, because I think every genre, every story would work vertically if you just write it vertically thought. And then just either work more with pilots or think about what could work and then just try it. Exactly what you say about, because also what we talked about earlier is that the audience is mature. The audience, they love coming of age stories, which is fine. I love them too. But of course, talking about what we talked earlier, I love queer perspectives. Of course, for someone who's 50, it's also really nice to see a story of someone, of a character who is already 50, who's been through his half half of his or her life, instead of taking the experience of a 20-year-old character and placing that into a 50-year-old character, which doesn't work because those two characters would act totally different because of their different life experience. And I think that could also be a very smart thing, as you said, for production companies or the big apps to invest in more diverse stories and really also, like the Germans, be more brave and try new things, because I think that could work very well for both the audience and the creative teams.
And for the German part, the Germans just don't have to try something new. They
That's
have to
true.
get faster.
That's true.
Don't be
That's true.
so scared about trying something new. And regarding news stories, even if they are doing knockoffs after knockoff, why you should try to recreate a story which you had already 3 or 4 or 5 times. If the audience turn the vertical off, if they watch the first maybe 5 episodes and say, I've seen the story, and until now, even the script been line by line, the same as in the other 3 ones. I don't want to watch it no more because I'm getting bored. I'm turning it off. Then you spend a lot of money to shooting the whole story, even if it's always a
Mm,
low budget business. It's still too much money if the people turn it off. And I
that's
see,
true.
for example, on LinkedIn, there are so many script and screen writers. Maybe they don't know all yet how to write a script for a vertical. But in this case, we're coming back to Cordula with a
Yeah.
vertical vertidramas, a
Yeah.
vertical script academy. And by the way, it's an unpaid advertisement,
Mm,
but she's good in what she's doing. And like I said, be
that's true.
patient. Maybe if everything works fine, beginning of June, you will have the access to it in English. But just, by the way, shout out Kodla. No,
Big shout out.
because she's trying to get the verticals to Germany as well, not just in a way how to write a script. She's working behind the scene on a lot of things. And
Yes.
I believe if people who knows what they are talking about, and not just these people who think they know what they are talking about, just they hear it sometimes about verticals, then it could work out even here in Germany pretty well. And I can say to maybe investors, production teams, even production teams from Ukraine, if you want to shoot outside of Ukraine and want to develop maybe the German space to shoot here in an international way, get in contact with Kevin.
Please, because really genuinely believe in verticals. There's still a lot of people in Germany who are like, maybe it's a thing for 3, 4 years, but then it could also disappear. And I think it will not. I think it will exist and coexist with classical storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think that's also what's happening in America is both could benefit from each other. You could take a spin-off, or you could just take two characters, or you can make a sequel or a spin-off, whatever, a prequel, and both could work together very fine. I think it already happened in Asia that a very successful vertical was made into a feature. They completely shot it again. And so it could work both ways if the right investors make the move now in Germany, and if we make it really good, and if we can prove to the big players that it is worth a way of telling stories, then more will jump onto it, and then it could really be a market. And I really do believe that that could happen. It just needs now 2, 3 companies, and then the thing could start rolling. It just needs these 2, 3 people, and that's it.
I believe in that too, that it's not over in 2 or 3 or 4 years. It's just the beginning where we at right now. But even if it would be the ending, if you work in this industry for 4 years, if you do a good job, you can earn still in these 4 years more money than you think you can do in other movies, maybe.
Not even that, but also you could work yourself in the industry. We call it an IP, an intellectual property. Like you could, like Shonda Rhimes did with Shonda Land, and now she did the Bridgerton universe, or she did How to Get Away with Murder, and that could also work in the vertical space. You could earn yourself an audience, really fans that love your face as an actor or your stories as a creator and storyteller. And those people, if verticals at some point would disappear again, which I don't think, but that could happen, then something new would arise, and then the people would follow you to that new format because they know that what you did is working and they love what you do. And I think it's a very smart thing either way. And even if nothing of that would happen, actually, I for myself, I'm having the best time of my career now at the moment, because what I did with Size Doesn't Matter was the most fulfilling thing I've ever done as a creative person, because not only was it my idea to tell the story, I found the people, I made people come together, and then I remember the rep party. We had a rep dinner, and I went to the cashier to pay. Of course, I invited everyone, and it was just 4 days. Total strangers came together, worked their asses off, and then it was like 10 meters away, and they were all sitting at the table, and just tears came up, and I was just crying because it was so overwhelming to see that I made these strangers come together and feel like, even just for this moment, like a family. And so even if verticals were not going to be a thing, and even if this was just my money spent, then it was just the most amazing time of my life.
Oh, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. I always can say if you need help for the next project.
I will definitely contact you. Yes, for sure. After that, yep, for sure.
It's also depending where you are shooting.
Of course.
No, but I believe if you are going on with your story, the people will love it, and especially if you can do it with English subtitles or with you dubbing it, that would be really interesting for the others because his show don't have the typical tropes, like we said, and you will enjoy it. Kevin,
Mm. And, and I think, sorry, just one last thing. I think it also still works. It already works, even if it's not dubbed yet, even if it is with German subtitles, because I think our acting and the way we told the story is already good to you can follow it. Like we have people from Sao Paulo, or where was it also from, like people who don't speak German, they've watched it, and although they didn't understand everything, they already enjoyed. So I think you can still get what we're
yeah,
telling.
because the fan community of verticals are spread all over the world, and it's
Also,
great.
which is also so great. I love that.
I love that too. But Kevin, do you have anything to say to the audience or to production companies or investors or whatever? The last words which you want to announce.
If you want to develop vertical in a creative, healthy way that could be more sustainable than they are right now, I think you are onto something really, really good. And I think what you are doing, people out there, or I'm doing, I think we're helping a lot of people, like what we always do as creatives, but in this vertical space even more, because it's not like what's happening is that all of a sudden people are coming together again in a very intimate space, but while watching they're commenting on things, and it's a huge community that is being helped with whatever they're going through in their lives. And I think that is something that we should not ignore, and that we should pay attention to, that the vertical space is
Yeah.
something very vulnerable, but very, very intimate and caring, and that the people are very caring. And I think that is something we should always keep in our minds. And if you want to connect, please reach out. I would love to work with whomever want to works with me.
I will post all his information in the description. Go there, leave a follow and like and comment to his page. And we can't wait to see the sequel, or not the sequel, or you can call it sequel if your
Yeah,
story is going on. We can't wait to see
exactly.
that. And thank you for
Thank you.
taking the risk to show here in Germany the people what microdramas slash verticals are. And I hope we are gaining more and more fans here from Germany. And I hope so too that we are going on with shooting verticals here in the international way.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. I cannot. I would like, my gut feeling would have to be very off if that's not going to happen, because it will. I'm sure of it. I'm sure it will happen, and will be extraordinary.
Listen to him.
Listen to me.
Thank
Not
you so
listen
much
to me.
for
You do
joining
listen to me.
me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
And you always can come back if you have something new and want to talk about it, even if it's not about Ukrainians. But yes, I'm running the Ukrainian Actors and Actresses Fund, but still I'm German. And if we can promote the vertical space here in Germany, you're always welcomed here.
Thank you so much.
I wish you a great evening, because now I can say we are in
You
the
too.
same time zone. Because I'm not sure where you are at in Germany,
Yes,
but we are in the
I'm
same
in the
time
middle.
zone.
I'm close to Frankfurt, so we are. Yep, 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 yep.
Around 2.5 hours away from me. Something about that.
Probably exactly.
Have a great evening and
You too.
talk to
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Yep.
Bye
Bye.
bye.